Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Systems Lab Live. Very excited to be here with you all. This is the Monday edition, week 4 of the Project Activation series. And so, what we're doing this whole entire month, we are really uncovering what does it really mean to activate a project? What does it mean to get started? And so this is like part 1 of multiple parts of activating a project. Next month, we're going to talk about the mean green. We're going to talk about money and budget and what does it mean to put together a project budget? And I think that's something that is often not talked about. And I know that in my content and things that I've talked about, it's like, you know what? I don't think I've talked enough about it. I don't think we've discussed or explored. And so we're going to get into that. But we are tapping into tonight of knowing what's required. But before that, we're going to be looking into a couple of different things. We're going to get into our show and tell segment, where inside our show and tell segment, we actually are going to look at one, or no, we'll do two. We're going to be two things. We're going to go into an article that I found to be really interesting called five ways or 5 strategies for dealing with difficult people. And then we're going to get into the case study portion where we're going to talk even more about team communication and productivity. That's the case study of the month. So the first topic is how to deal with difficult people. That's the first article that I want to share with you all. And we're going to kind of go through that. And 2, there is an upcoming podcast topic called how to fight with grace, in this brand new season launching on Wednesday, the communication breakdown season. So if I had the the little soundboard, we'd have the hand claps, but we'll do my own hand claps. That's what we'll do. But it's an exciting time from now until the end of the quarter. I've mapped it out. That should be 10 weeks, I believe. From now until the end of the quarter, there'll be a podcast released every single week. And so I have a reel coming out tomorrow and in a video, I think on LinkedIn as well. But it's going to be talking a bit about what to expect for this upcoming season. Now, one of the things that you should know, if you're ever wondering, you said, oh my gosh, I didn't know you had a podcast. I took a hiatus. So we also address all of that too, in the reel, and then also definitely in the first episode of the podcast, why we took a hiatus. And essentially, I say in the in tomorrow's posting, a little preview, is that there was a unique tension that I had between what to create, how to create it, what does it mean to be consistent, is what I'm saying relevant, will I have impact, so there was a unique tension between all of those points. And so I felt a little bit off, I would say that the podcasting didn't feel exciting to me at that time. And I had to really sort of dig deep into what is it in terms of what I want to say, why I want to say it, what am I observing, what is it that people actually want to hear. And so I took a very long time between taking a workshop, reading some books and articles, praying about direction, all of those things. And actually, even right now, and I actually just made that before 2023, I really made I guess you would say, a list of areas of growth for this year. And I said I was going to dive in really deeply into the audio and podcasting world, not just solely for the benefit of my podcast, but just because I wanted to make sure I was growing in this area of knowledge about all the different areas, right? For podcasting. So I'm in a class right now by Multitude. It's a company called Multitude Productions, and they produce a whole lot of shows. I'm actually very new to the Multitude, like knowing about them. And I actually got, let's see, what is it, Squadcast? Because I'm in the Squadcast Slack group, and that's that's actually the software I use to record. So someone was asking about like classes, and I usually sign up for as much as I can, in terms of classes, in terms of knowledge, and just learning about this industry and what to do and how to do certain things. And so I have my own process for it. And so for me, the structure of the podcast is really important to me right now, because after this season, I will start to look at developing the new way in which I'm structuring the podcast. There will be more of an alignment from Systems Lab Live, the live show, and then also the podcast. It'll serve as almost like an audio companion. So the topics that you are viewing right now, if you're reviewing now or 10 days later or 20 days later, 2 months later, um, there's definitely going to be, you'll see a shift in the podcast, which will be a direct one-for-one alignment, to the live show and the audio experience. So I'm very excited about that. So learned a lot tonight from Sustainable Podcasting about the structure of the show, segments, things that I need to be thinking about, for the show itself. Right now, for this upcoming season, though, it's 7 episodes, 30 minutes each, with 3 hour long and maybe a little bit hour long, with 3 guests that I have. So I worked actually really hard, speaking of structure, of actually really paying attention to the notes and the research. And so that's what, I would say that what sets me apart in terms of conversations with Ask Ash is that I'm focusing a lot on, number one, the everyday work, when it comes to the managing the projects, leading people, the processes, and everything in between. There's a lot of concentration on what topic is relevant, what research is out there from my own experience to what people are talking about, and what is my perspective in terms of what is my spin on certain things. So a lot of research goes into it, and it's a good show. It's a great season. And I say, like I said in tomorrow's posting, I do tell people, take your time with it, because it is 30 minutes of information, but it's also very much jam packed with information that you should be listening to maybe a couple times that week, taking different elements back. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So as I pull up, because I'm going to actually pull up the Miro presentation board, similar to the live show. Lots of really cool work and research that goes into this as well. And so, let's see. Let's see what's going on here. I'm going to take the overlay off, because you may not be able to see me. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's go over here. How are we doing? Oh, okay. Perfect. Because I was like, all right. How are we? Let me click over here for a minute. Okay. I see you can't see me. So we're going to take this off. Perfect. We'll take this off. We'll put this on. And I'm going to go over here. Awesome. Miro on the wall. Okay, we got the mic situated correctly. Well, once again, welcome to the Systems Lab Live, exciting the January 23rd edition. Tonight, we are going to go over one article and the case study, which is a Slack tutorial, then get into knowing what you need, and then we wrap up. So 5 tips for how to deal with a difficult employee. I'm on a brand new email listserv. I'm pulling up my notes for this one. People managing people. And they talk about difficult employees. And I think that a couple of things with that. I think it's really important that we reshape the way that we label people. I think we easily label people something when um it oftentimes should be that we should actually look at their behavior, and who people are and the way in which they interact. Because, truth be told, we too have been labeled difficult or challenging. Okay. So I don't want to label someone as a difficult employee, or rather that you have a challenging personality, right? You have a challenging personality. There are challenging situations that you find yourself with when you are actually interacting or dealing with a person. And so I know some people out there are probably thinking, well, no, actually, they're just difficult. They're just supremely difficult, right? But this article is interesting because they acknowledge, I just said acknowledge the problem. So they have 5 tips for dealing with a difficult employee. And so I want to flip it to dealing with difficult team members, um, and dealing with, coworkers, colleagues. I just want to make sure that we are diversifying the language out there, because I know that we have, for this particular program. And if you're here for the very first time, I forgot to say my little spiel. Welcome to the Systems Lab Live, which is the only live show dedicated to productivity trends and breaking down how to manage teams and projects and develop processes. And we put together and we intersect technology, operations, and project management. So it's a great show. Welcome, and share this stream with a friend or two. So 5 tips for how to deal with a difficult team member, employee, someone that you're working with. Acknowledge the problem. That's number 1. Listen first. Provide specific examples and ask open-ended questions. Be clear about expectations. Know where to draw the line. So as I open up the article, because I want to make sure that we have context for a few things, and then I do want to give a little preview about what I say with how to fight with grace, because this really is also a communication issue as well, So let me come through mindfulness app. Let's see. They define in this article what is a difficult employee. They say it's disruptive. All right. They say oppositional, disengaged, toxic, unproductive, passive aggressive, a poor listener, low on empathy, or perhaps they just don't like you. Okay. Interesting, right? That's the definition. That is the definition of 5 tips to how to deal with a difficult employee. And that's how they define it. People managing people define it as disruptive, oppositional, disengaged, and toxic. I do believe toxic is quite overused. Dr. Louise Hamilton says a counseling psychologist advises managers to take a moment to reflect and wonder why someone might bother you so much. Do they remind you of someone else? Are there particular behaviors that you find triggering? Similarly, if the employee is causing friction with other team members, there may be more going on that meets the eye. Executive coach Greg Stevens observes, I find all coworkers can be tricky at times. It depends on the person, the kind of day they're having, the circumstances surrounding the issue being discussed, and the relationship at that moment. Which, to his point, I actually really, really like the way that he breaks it down, because it is a matter of the day, the moment, the circumstances, and then the relationship with that person has at the moment. I think that's super, super key. And difficult is always subjective, right? Difficult is always subjective. And I can almost think of one particular instance where I would say, I won't even say that the individual is difficult. Again, I find the way in which the working relationship, I would say, is challenging. It's challenging because I don't believe that we're on the same page. I don't believe that we understand what the goal is, right? So I think acknowledging the problem is a really, really key step. Acknowledging what the problem is, I believe, is really important to this entire process, right? Like I think it's really really, really important. I'm going to do something really quickly. I just wanted to close out Descript because I feel like it's a little bit laggy. And I know for myself, I will often have multiple types of windows open. And I want to also save this article. So hold on one second, folks. This is live. You know what I'm saying? This is live. So if I can, okay, can I not save that article? I always do this just as like a quick hack, and you guys can't see it in terms of the browser, but it is, oh, hold on one second. I'm on the wrong screen. Folks. Let's see. Oh, okay, let me get back to what we're doing. Fierce virtual assistants. What's going on? Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm trying to save this article. Will it let me? I'll have to do it some other time. But I have a little tagging system. I think I've showed you guys inside of Notion. But we'll save that later. We'll get back to what we're talking about. Listen first, which I think is, it's important to listen to people. We may not want to, right? Because at the time our emotions are actively involved into the conflict itself. But listen actively with empathy rather than judgment. You position yourself as a source of support rather than criticism. I think that's important. Provide specific examples and ask open-ended questions. So for those of you that are in a position, Marquis is in the house. What's going on, Marquis? For those of you that are in a position where you are leading a team and you're dealing with someone who has a challenging personality and you're trying to figure out, because there's a pattern to it, what's happening, asking specific questions, open-ended questions, that is, will help you a lot in seeing how people think about things. Absolutely. I think that's really important. That's really, really, really important. All right. What's the next one? Be clear about expectations. I think, we often don't, I think, enough, talk about expectations that you have with your team members. This is why I often say, when we talk about communication, this is what's going to be so exciting about when the pod is starting to be released on Wednesday, is that one of the things that I advocate for when it comes to developing a communications plan is that you get to cool. All right, y'all see me. Cool. Be clear about expectations. I think that's really important. So what does this mean? I think when you're developing a communications plan, I believe that's a perfect opportunity for the team members to voice what they expect from one another. As a team member, when we're talking about utilizing the Slack tool, utilizing ClickUp, Notion, your Insert PM tool, maybe you're going to use the Volley app. Be clear about the expectations of utilizing these tools, meaning what are the rules of engagement for when people are supposed to respond to messages, getting an understanding of how people communicate. What do they mean if it's a one word answer? And understanding that a one word answer is not indicative of someone having a tone. I feel like Jerisha Hawk, shout out to Jerisha Hawk, one of the most, I think, transformative and what do you call transformative and innovative coaches, I think, that's out here for sales and marketing and you know, what's my favorite line that she says about, knowing your niche and articulating your program promise, right? So powerful. So anyway, I heard her say, like, saying okay or like one word or three word answers is not indicative of somebody being mad at you, right? So I think we got to get an understanding of our communication and what that means. Know where to draw the line. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Dealing with difficult employees is probably one of the toughest tasks a manager has to face. However, if you fail to deal with a disruptive team member quickly and effectively, the implications for your rest of the team can be catastrophic, says Natalie Maddock from Events Made Simple. Once you've given the employee feedback and provided ample opportunities and had reasonable time frame to improve their negative behavior, it's time to reconsider further steps. So knowing and articulating, hey, here are my boundaries. And this is what I think, again, as team members, when you're working together, I think it's important to, kind of to talk about. Here are the kind of things that I focus on when I work, or if you're going to give me feedback. And I remember a team member said that to me, was like, I really need your feedback to be gentle. Now, maybe most folks would say, come on, you need to toughen up. Like, it's real out here in these streets. But I kind of think that know where to draw the line is also boundaries, right? And I think as a leader, I think it's important to be respectful of how someone wants to receive that. I think for the other person, I do think it has to be a little bit of a give and take, right? Because I think that we have to be open to if something is not right, if it doesn't fall into the category of acceptable work. How do you address that? I think the biggest things probably that I've heard from CEOs and those that are like team leaders that are, that really look at difficult people is the boundaries piece. I think that we often look at, can they perform skill set wise, and are they a quote unquote culture fit, which I think we have to truly start to define what exactly that means, because there could be a way in which can you learn somebody, you know what I mean, and how can you truly determine how someone is actually going to be a good fit. Now, one thing I did pick up from the Next Level podcast, with Jeremy Anderson, and the co-hosts there, I think it's Kristen and Mike. Kristen or Crystal. Hold on, somebody. I think so. And they had Dewan there, who is a human behavior certified specialist, coach, strategist, mastermind, very intelligent, and was talking about the golden rule of, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But he talked about the platinum rule, which is about treat others how they want to be treated, which takes time because you have to get to know people. Super powerful. You have to definitely go and go check it out. Got to go check that one out on the Next Level podcast, and that was on part 2. There's a 2-parter. So I had a couple of notes myself about people. Number one, I said, from my opinion, there's always a story. There's always a story. And I believe people should keep that in mind. People should keep that in mind. There's always a story. The question is, are you as a human being willing to find out what the story is? Keep the main thing, similar to the first thing. Acknowledge the problem, very similar to the first thing. I am a huge proponent of keeping the main thing the focus, so that you don't seem like you're in a pattern or that you're attacking somebody. Shout out to Swell. Let's see. What else? Last but not least, watch and observe. Well, hello, Christian Devotions Daily. Come through. Come through. Watch and observe. I'm a big proponent of watching behaviors, observing people, making notes. I think that's really important. Chocolate Curls is in the building. What's happening? So I think that's really important, right? Watch and observe, I think, is important because you should pay attention to how people are answering questions, how people ask questions, how do they go about problem solving, presenting. I'm telling you, a good old observation will help you. It will help you really get to know someone and, their frame of mind, and what they think about. So that's it. I thought this was a really good article. I don't think we talk enough about the dealing with, as I have said, challenging people, difficult people, right? Very, very, very important. Very important. Let's see. We're gonna get into it, right? Where we're gonna get into the Slack tutorial. Big fan, folks, of Slack. Those of you that are not familiar with Slack or feel Slack is like, it's too corporate-y, right? Slack is a fantastic tool to use to communicate and streamline your communication. So it's a messaging tool that is used where you can go about sending messages to one another and figuring out, all the things, when it comes to the work that you're doing on a daily basis. Mm? So, you know, that's a little bit of Slack. You can do all sorts of things in Slack. I enjoy it. I think that it's, for me, one of the top tools in business that I really like to use. Slack has released a lot of features, um, Slack huddles, and in this particular case study that we've been talking about all month long, we have been oh, we have been talking a lot about what it means to create a workflow for communication, the types of communication, and now we're going to be kind of getting into Slack tutorial 101 and 102 next week. So back to back Slack tutorials, which again for me is very, very exciting. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to be in Slack right now. Let's see if y'all can see this. Okay. Very excited. I think I'm going to disappear. Should I disappear? You probably should. Oh no. This one is came a little okay. Okay, very good. I think we're right here. So let me just do this. Can I command? Yes, I can. Okay. So a few things, folks, about Slack. Okay. Um what you see right here is the generals channel. So Slack's one of the bread and butter in terms of the core features. And again, I'm going to get into some things, but it won't be necessarily a complete deep dive, but it's going to get deep enough. Some of the core features that you're going to see within Slack are this generals channel and introductions. I just wanted to leave those there so that you understand that channels are where you go and interact with you and your team members. Okay. That's where you can separate by topics, by project channels, water cooler conversations, things like that. This is a great way to divide and conquer, the work at hand. So I'm going to actually click right here. It says add a channel, and I'm going to go to create channel, and I'm just going to name this project alpha. You can add a description and say this is hold on. Who's catching up? There we go. This is a marketing and design. It's going to catch up a little bit. Logo project. Cool. Now you have an option of making a private channel. Now this could be private if you have an HR consultant, if you have, conversations that you're looking to have regularly, but it just is maybe would be core team members and not everyone needs to be involved. But we'll make it public, okay? And this is where you can add people to Project Alpha. So you can add people, and it says automatically add anyone who joins this particular Slack this Slack group. So let's say I had 50 people in here, but I perhaps only want 5 people. I would only add the people I need into this project channel. So think through when you're setting up your project channels. Number one, think through who needs to be a part of the channel after you set up what is the channels that you need. So I'm just going to add right here where I'm going to actually add this one that's like water fun with the team. This is where you drop your memes and jokes. I'm going to say keep it clean. I love it. Okay. And so right here, automatically add anyone who joins. I'm going to say that. I want everybody to join. Okay. So with Project Alpha, well, and let me go back. Let me actually go back as well, because I do want you all to be able to see some of the other features of this. And let me go in one more so that you guys can see a little bit closer. Okay, because I think you guys can see a bit closer. I'm gonna go right here and I'm gonna take this little, I'm gonna take my little overlay off. Okay, cool. So if you see on the corner, you'll see unreads, which is any message that is unread. So if there are some unread messages, I think it's because I'm with myself. They probably just don't have it. But you'll see right here, unread is any unread message that you have will show up here. Threads, perfect for keeping conversation topics within the conversation. So if there is a particular, I'm going to say this right here. I'm actually going to show formatting, and we'll get into integrations next week. Let's see. Let's talk about the branding presentation due next week. Okay. So what would happen is that someone would go here and either reply in the thread. So you can do two things. There's an interesting part where you can actually share a message to someone, or you can share it with a different channel. Okay, so there's a couple of these. So you can go reply in thread, and what's going to happen here is that you can reply inside of the thread and say, "Yep, I was thinking about the presentation and how and when I was going to start the outline." Boom. So you see right here, it says one reply. So thread conversations are perfect for keeping all conversations organized. Okay. Something really cool, because I definitely want to talk to you all about like features. You can do a couple things. Record an audio clip. So maybe you're on the go. Maybe you just want to talk a little about something and you want to like do a little audio clip. You can say, hey friend, I'm thinking about splitting this presentation into 3 different parts. The intro, I want to get into the meat of the topic, which is branding 101, and then also integrate pieces of their brand and then close it out with questions. Let me know what you thought, or if we need to huddle more. So you can go right here and say, my thoughts. Cool. Boom. Clip. You can say, hey friend, I'm thinking about splitting this presentation into 3 different parts. Boom. If somebody's talking too loud, you can play it. I love it. And then if I wanted to, I could delete my clip, right? I could delete the clip. And apparently, listen, you can do this in video. Who would have thunk it? If you need to add an attachment, go ahead and add it from a Google Drive or upload from your computer or recent files. Again, a really great way that you can do that. Also, we'll do that later where we talk a bit about shortcuts and things. If you need a Google Drive presentation, you can add Google Drive. We'll get into integrations and apps in a minute. But yeah, if you want to browse apps, you would go in here and browse the app directory. You can add Loom if you want to, Slack. You can do polls, add Google Calendar, stand up, survey. This is a Scrum bot to facilitate stand-ups. So you can do all sorts of things inside of Slack. Setting up project channels, you can share documents. You can upload funny memes, add Dropbox, add your project management tool in here. All sorts of things. I think they have Zoom in here too. Add Zoom for sure. If you want, me is one of the dopest features that they released. You can start a huddle in which you invite somebody. On the free version, one other person can join the huddle with you. They'll receive a notification, which means that you can go and literally have some sort of chat with that person via audio. And I want to say, and I'm clicking this because I don't know if I think they've made some more upgrades to this. Let me know what type of questions you have. Be easy. What's going on, Brandon? What questions you guys have about Slack? Would love for you guys to put something in the chat. Let me know. Send me a message. I was looking at, and I apologize too. It's a bit glitchy today than normal. It's a bit glitchy than normal, so I apologize for that. Okay. Okay. I think we're here. All right, cool. Yeah, I was trying to find out what the deal was with the huddles, but it's okay. All right. What are we about to do? We've talked a lot, folks. Let me switch back over. We'll do more next week. We got to get into the lesson of the day. We got to get into the lesson of the. Let's get into the lesson of the day. I'm going to share this tab. Cool. Winifred, what's happening? All right, share this tab. So we've talked through Slack. And now we're going to get into our lesson of the day, which is knowing what you need. Knowing what you need. I feel like I went a little too fast because I see that I just saw that it went. That is too funny. Okay. I'm going to click out of this really quickly and let's see if we can get back to it. Okay. We will get into why we gather requirements, but just not right now. All right, let's go back. All right. Knowing what you need. This is a very important part of project activation. I paused because I was thinking about several types of conversations that I have had in recent weeks. And it's all surrounding understanding requirements and knowing exactly what it is that you need. And sometimes that is challenging, especially when you have a very exciting idea ahead and you're trying to really figure out, you know, how do you kind of navigate what you need. And so I said in the mini video that I have, like I have a little mini series that is like a companion to this series. It's in a little playlist. It says Project Activation. They're like less than 5 minutes, but it's just tips on activating your project and whatnot. But I talk about not being shy at a buffet. So if you have a buffet, you're typically not getting 1 to 2 things and keeping it cute. You're typically getting a whole bunch of stuff and eating it, right? That's the way I've seen it. So with that said, I want you to think about requirements as getting very specific about what it is that you need to develop your products and your services, or improving your processes or creating processes. Ah, yeah, this is needed. This is so needed. Um, it says right here that requirements exist within all organizations. All organizations exist to deliver products and services to customers, which are always delivered through business processes that are decomposed into individual requirements. So, why this is important is because the way in which like Apple and Google, when it comes to, products and things they're developed. Listen, I even was looking up, and I'll just randomly look up, product managers that are in like, like the Bible app. That was one thing. Or like, and I saw an opening. They had an opening, or like TikTok has one where they have like a product manager, right? You know, there'll be different things like different types of organizations. I'll look at the structure. And the reason why they have these PM roles is because they are developing products based upon, the desires that their customers have. They're looking at it from the perspective of improving the existing products that they have already, ensuring that they can deliver on certain features at a certain time. That's why you'll hear and see a lot of companies talk about, here's the roadmap of what we're building, so that it's very public. They're held accountable. The users that are utilizing the product and also being your quote unquote product evangelist, so to speak, they're in the know and you can get feedback. So even inside this app called Volley, and even in Squadcast, same type of concept. They're into the development of this product, and they're going to be listening to the people. Enough people that have a feature request, that fits right into this requirements aspect of it. That feeds into it. So one thing that I want you all to do and start thinking about right now is, even if you're watching on the replay, start writing down your requirements, the capability needed by the stakeholder, you, to deliver a product and a service. However, if you are on the flip side, if you are a PM, you need a list of requirements by your CEO, your COO, leadership, your team lead. You need a particular list of requirements. Now, I'm not saying they solely come from that individual, but if you all are launching an event, a product or service, I know that you as a PM are not the primary architect of where this idea originated from. You got the project visionary for that. So you are probably the person that's going to help pull the requirements together, but you play an important role in that, a requirements session to whiteboard that out and to really categorize these categorize the requirements into must-haves, would like to have, nice to have, doesn't really matter. So, and that's a different type of discussion that we could have, and maybe that's next week as we kind of close this particular series. But think about your coaching program, your NFT, what else is out there, your virtual event, in-person event, a logo design, a website, some sort of product that you're developing. What's needed? What are the requirements? What are the requirements? Why is it necessary that we gather requirements? Why is it necessary? Okay. And then I have a few notes that complement this as well. So you gather requirements for, and I want you all to insert the projects you're working on: a book launch, a virtual event, a membership community, a brand new program. Why do you gather requirements? Because it helps to prevent spending unnecessary money. And nobody really, to be quite honest, has time for, looking at, oh my gosh, we spent money over here. But how come nobody told me X, Y, and Z? You kind of get into all of that when you start to plan and you start to execute, but you have not looked at the scope and the requirements to see if you are, to ensure that you are following the right path to the end result that in what you're building. So for those that are launching membership communities, you should write down, what are the must-haves? What are the nice-to-haves? What are the things that you can say, you know what? We're going to put it on the list of things that we would like to do, but it's not necessarily instrumental in what we're doing. So I think I even have it inside of ClickUp where I have a roadmap for your membership community. And even within the roadmap, there's things like courses and things like that. And I'm like, all right, like, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, what's really important for you to know is that if you have a course that you want to develop, that's when you can really start with the requirements development and be able to say, all right, what's needed for us to launch this course within the community? Like what's really needed? What's really needed? And so that's really, really important that, you all are, kind of focusing in on that piece of it, that you're focusing in on it. So let me just get out of this really quickly. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. What else did I want to say on this particular piece of it? Oh, three more things. You gather requirements so that you know what you're delivering. This really helps with the end result. Now, someone on LinkedIn made a really good point. The project management book of the book of knowledge, is that what it's called? The PMBOK. Let me say. Yes, project management, a guide to the project management body of knowledge, and said that the seventh edition is more focused on outcomes than deliverables. And I said to myself, that's very true, right? As I have been reading it very consistently over the past several months, just diving in, and looking at, again, strategy and approach, there is a leaning and an emphasis on the outcomes rather than the actual deliverables themselves. This does not mean that you won't have deliverables, but if you are creating a membership community, it's not the fact that you have launched the community is the deliverable, but it's also what's the outcome? What's the particular result that you're looking for? And that feeds into knowing what's required, and knowing what you're delivering. It prevents burnout because oftentimes what happens is that when you don't know what you need, people get overworked and people begin to really not know what they're doing, and they get tired and frustrated, and you don't want those types of things happening. It also protects your time, so it all goes hand in hand, because not only on the flip side of you, if you don't gather requirements, um you are not only spending unnecessary money, but you don't know what you're doing. Folks are burnt out because they're running around like chickens with their head cut off. And then also too, your time is being wasted. A few other things that I have found when it comes to the importance of gathering requirements well. And this is strictly for those of you listening up, project leaders, those that create things, that are creating the programs and the processes and things of that nature. Scope creep is very real. Scope creep can get you into a lot of trouble if you do not have a good handle on what it is that your client needs, but also what is it when it comes to a program or a particular service that you are developing. If you don't have it underneath, if you don't have it under control, you, as we said, you're wasting your time. You're also spending unnecessary money as well, money that has not been accounted for, budgeted for. Importance of gathering requirements well, you improve your communication. This aspect of bullet 2 and 3, knowing what you're delivering and preventing burnout, all circle around the time piece, meaning that there is no wasted time because you as a leader have communicated what someone needs to do, what particular tasks that they're working on, and their energy is conserved for the work that needs to get done. Number 3 is that you are ensuring you're meeting your client customer needs. Now that's really one of the prime reasons why you gather requirements. The reasons why you need to have a really tight scope is because you need to make sure that you are ensuring that what you're delivering to the client, to the customer, to the organization is fulfilling what they need. So do not be shy about knowing what you need, taking your time in understanding the scope. It is just fine if you want to consider everything. However, you do need to land on the scope of what makes sense according to the business need, because there's a strategic alignment piece. And then also, too, knowing what is true when it comes to exactly what you are delivering. Okay? So that's important. That is very, very important. So we have discussed a lot today. We have gone over a few things beginning of the show. We've talked about the 5 tips for dealing with difficult employees. I've given my perspective on what it means to deal with challenging personalities, especially when you are in a team environment. What do you do, especially if you're not in control of the hiring or the firing? What do you do? We've gone over Slack, which is super cool. And we'll go over more Slack stuff next week. And then we've gone over some really good tips on gathering requirements, why you need to do it well. So, what are some tips for your program that you're working on, the project launch that you are currently executing on? What is it that you should be considering? Maybe you have to go back because maybe there's some confusion. Maybe you've identified that you're spending unnecessary money. You've made a poor decision with who you've hired. So, getting specific with what you need, getting input from the team. We're no longer working in silos. We're no longer working in silos anymore. Collaboration is really your team's superpower. Does it mean that you go off and never mastermind on your own? Absolutely not. But getting input from 1 to 2 people with, hey, what's going on, Jason and Jex? Getting input from 1 to 2 people. Oh, and I said this in an Instagram post of project insights, things that I'm working on. What's been working for me lately is pulling in 1 to 2 people that really are helping me reshape my own thoughts and my own particular insights. I'm thinking, and there's nothing wrong with thinking that you're sweet in your area, but there's nothing better than bringing in somebody else to really help bring different perspectives. What am I not thinking about? What else should we be considering? When you're managing projects, it's not about you knowing everything. Really good project managers, project leaders, those that are leading out initiatives, you are considering, and you're actually it's almost like a puzzle. You're configuring different sides of the puzzle pieces. You're considering the people, you're considering the project vision, the requirements, the schedule. You're watching out for risk. You need to understand strategy at a more deeper level. Documenting is the last thing. You need to document. I'm a big believer in it. I don't think that you should be not documenting anything. From your membership group to your virtual events, to your in-person events, to your NFTs, to whatever it is you're building right now, all of it. And I'm talking about not just like, here's a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet just talks about like how we're tracking X, Y. No, I'm talking about everything from like the project visioning document to like your risk log, like the whole shebang, like everything. Okay, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. We're in OT. We supposed to start at 8:30, and then I got on at 8:37. And now it's 9:44. So we out. We'll be back next week. More Slack tutorials, and we will talk more about like what's next. We're gonna pull it all together. We'll be pulling it all together. More tips, more insights. We'll probably also have some Q&A if people have Q&A. And that's it. Podcast Wednesday, new season. It's starting. The communication breakdown season. In the show notes too, you're going to see some links, things that tools that I work with, and also too, if you have questions, I am also on Volley, where you can grab some time with me, shoot me some volleys back and forth for about an hour, and it doesn't have to be like in one setting. It can be over, I guess, a couple days, but yeah, shoot me a volley, sign up, and I look forward to See you guys next week. Have a good week. Peace.